This week's episode coming at you right after this message.
Why, hello, friends and enemies. Hello, friends and enemies. Friends, enemies. Hello, friends and enemies. Gather round. In theory, this is an Unsolved Mysteries podcast. Perhaps it's you. That's the name of the show.
I'm Samantha.
I'm Liz. We're one of many Unsolved Mysteries rewatch podcasts, watching the original Robert Stack episodes of Unsolved Mysteries. We're here to complain about the thing we're supposed to like, Unsolved Mysteries. Unsolved Mysteries.
That was a great shot.
You're doing the Lord's work.
I will say right off the bat that this is going to be a good mustache season.
I like to think that Robert Stack wore a full suit just to like take out the garbage.
Just all the time.
Yeah. Are you ready to solve some mysteries with us?
The stack is back.
That's really terrible.
Yeah, it is. But I love saying it. We're here to talk to you about some fucking mysteries.
We sure are. We're on like all those podcast things, or you can listen at perhapsitsyou.com. We hope this brought a little mystery into your life. Keep cackling and keep barking, everybody.
Join us as we dive into the history, hauntings, and high strangeness of the world to try to better understand the paranormal. I will be your guide. I am paranormal researcher and investigator Eric Freeman-Sims. Welcome to the Unseen Paranormal Podcast. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in today. On this episode, we welcome author, paranormal investigator, tarot card reader, and witchcraft practitioner, Cherise Williams. Cherise has been studying and practicing witchcraft for 20 years and has been investigating paranormal for over 15 years. She just released a new book titled The Witch's Guide to Ghost Hunting from Beyond the Fray Publishing, which we will be discussing today. Cherise Williams' books are available on Amazon Kindle and wherever fine books are sold. You can find out more about Cherise on her website at cherisewilliams.com, and I will have the links in the show notes for this episode. Hey, Cherise, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Not a problem. I saw your book, and I work a lot with Beyond the Fray and a lot of their authors, and I saw your book, and I was like, that is a new take on investigating.
Yes. Yeah, I love this book. I'm glad it's out there in the world.
Yeah, and just because, I talk to a lot of paranormal investigators, and for the most part, we all investigate kind of the same way, but to bring witchcraft in, it just caught my attention of like, I need to talk to her about this and figure out how, you use witchcraft and what kind of tools it brings other than the normal paranormal investigating tools that we use.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get into witchcraft and paranormal investigating to begin with?
Well, ghosts and anything haunted and creepy and paranormal that was like my first love. Ever since I was a little kid, I would go to the library and look up all kinds of books on mysterious things and hauntings around the world. So that's really kind of where my first passion started. And about 15 years ago or so, 16 years ago, I joined a local ghost hunting group. It was around the time that the Ghost Hunters show came out. So there were a lot of kind of like copycat groups out there. And I worked with them for about a year, and I actually really enjoyed it. They kind of taught me the good basics of ghost hunting as far as how to properly conduct an EVP session, how to, debunk and look for logical causes of EMF spikes and things like that. The downside to it was they were just so, they were very much like the Ghost Hunter show, and they didn't really rely on psychic stuff or intuition or anything outside of just the more traditional kind of scientific approach to ghost hunting. And I've always been somebody that has been a little bit more intuitive. I got my first tarot deck when I was 13. So I always kind of felt like there was something missing with ghost hunting. And then about 20 years ago, I started looking into witchcraft and kind of expanding my mind spiritually. And, a handful of years ago, I'm like, I'm just going to merge both of them. I mean, they fit together. Ghost hunting to me seems incomplete without pairing the more spiritual, witchy, intuitive side. So, I've combined both of those, and I think it works amazingly well.
Yeah, I think I try to think outside the box, but also be, skeptical as well, like you're saying, but you can't box yourself in because we're dealing with stuff that we don't know about. So sometimes you might get better results by doing things differently. And yeah, it's great to do things like scientifically to prove the stuff, but you might get better results by doing stuff that isn't so scientific.
Exactly. Especially, I mean, I talk about it in the book too. We don't really know what ghosts are. I mean, we don't know if we are connecting to the essence or the energy of a living human that has passed on. We don't know if we're connecting to a different dimension or time slips. And, so yeah, we have these theories and we're using this equipment, this electrical equipment, to kind of connect and receive evidence, but we don't really know if that's what is being picked up, if that's how these tools are really working. So I think, we kind of have to embrace the more spiritual and like what if side.
Yeah, for me, I've investigated for many years as well, and for me at this point, it's not about proving to anybody else anything. It's a bit more about proving to myself. And I've been an empath my entire life, so I'm very good with living energy, dead energy, and so I kind of use that. And other people I investigate with, I'm kind of ag them on to be like, tell me what you're feeling, because that can be just as important. And just because it's something that you can't prove or it's a personal experience doesn't mean that it didn't happen.
Exactly. It's not any less real, I don't think, than seeing, the K2 meter light up. And honestly, I feel like us, our minds, our bodies, our intuition, that's the biggest, strongest tool that we can utilize while investigating the paranormal.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I've gotten pretty good results by thinking outside the box. And like I said, I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody else. I'm not I'll put out evidence or EVPs or whatever, but I'm not, because people want to tear stuff apart, and then people want to put up stuff that is in no way, shape, or form, paranormal, like all these picture anomalies that you see that people put up in Facebook groups and stuff.
And it's a lens flare, and they get so mad too. I'm like, people send me stuff, and I'm like, do you really want my opinion? Because a lot of the time when you're like, sorry, that's just a lens flare, they try to argue with you about it. It's like, no. Sorry.
Yeah. You ask any professional photographer, and they will tell you, no, that's just a lens flare. Yeah, or that's a bug. That's a bug on the lens.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
just dust. You're in a dusty basement.
Right.
Floor.
Right.
Well, no, it has a face inside of it. Okay.
Yeah, and we call that pareidolia or matrixing. Yeah.
It's like you can't convince people one way or the other. There's the people who just want to believe that anything is paranormal, and then there's the people. I mean, you could show them a complete full apparition and they still would be like, nope, that's just CGI, so like, I like your mentality. You're not there to prove anything to anybody, because people are going to make their own assumptions anyway.
Right. And also, I talk about on the show here and tell my audience, also, who am I to tell you that you if you had an experience, who am I to tell you didn't have that experience, that it's just your imagination or it's just this or that? Just the same way as I don't want people telling me that the personal experiences that I've had aren't real.
Yeah. I mean, there are times with those, we're joking about the photos and stuff, but sometimes people are like, and I swear that this is a photo of my great grandma. And I'm like, okay, I mean, maybe your great grandma was there and you happen to capture a speck of dust, but like, who am I? I'm not going to discredit your feeling. If you really feel like that's your great grandma, then have at it. Like, there's no harm in that.
Right. Yeah. As long as you're not hurting anybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are a witchcraft practitioner and have been for many years, like we were talking about. And so what is, in your definition of a witch or practicing witchcraft? Because a lot of people, especially in pop culture, especially with the TV shows, you got a lot of the demonic stuff. That word flies around everywhere. And a lot of people who think that witchcraft, because of TV shows and stuff as well, is kind of an evil, dark art. And so what is witchcraft?
In my opinion, it is somebody who is in tune with the energies within themselves, within the earth, within the universe, and can utilize the different energies to kind of create different outcomes. I guess that's kind of like the most basic definition. Everybody, I think, kind of has their own opinion on what it is, but I think really it kind of just comes down to an awareness of different energies and working with those different energies. And, I mean, when people say, oh, well, all witches are evil, okay, well, let's look at all of the wars and all of the atrocities that have been done in the name of God, in the name of the Christian God.
Right.
I mean, to me, that's evil. That's horrible. But, there's, with every sort of belief system, I think, in religion out there, there's good people and there's bad people. There's good, there's, beautiful, there's ugly, and everything in between. And yeah, I think it just depends on what you're doing with your witchcraft. Some people do things that others might see as evil or not okay. And then other people may do things that may be a little just more like healing and the positive white light type thing.
I think kind of along the same lines you do, because I think it all comes down to the intention. I think a lot of things in the paranormal come down to intention. Like with Ouija boards, you have a lot of people that are afraid of Ouija boards. Well, if it depends on your intent. If your intent is to bring something negative across, well, guess what? You're probably going to bring something negative across.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
exactly.
so with witchcraft, it's all about your intention. If your intention is to harm somebody, and like you're saying, there's nasty people out there that want to do nasty things to people, then that's what they're going to do, and it comes down to intention.
Yeah, I mean, there are people out there who use witchcraft to harm people, but then there's plenty that utilize it just to heal their own things in their lives and kind of try to make their own lives a little bit more better. And I think, too, with witchcraft, it's one of those, like, people fear what they don't know or what they don't understand.
Right.
Because even in my book, I talk about, like, utilizing cemetery dirt for investigating. And that may really weird some people out. I actually had made a post on Instagram about grave dirt. And people were like, why would you even do this? And it sounds kind of like, whoa, graveyard dirt, what are you doing? But really, when you break it down, I mean, it's just a different type. It's working with a different type of energy. It's working with the energy of the dead, which really, when you're investigating the paranormal and you're ghost hunting, you're literally working with the energy of the dead. So how is going to a haunted house and asking the ghost to light up your equipment any different than, taking just a tiny little spoonful of dirt from the cemetery and connecting to the spirits that way? I don't think it's really any different.
Yeah, and like I said, it's all about intention. And like cemetery dirt, it's consecrated land, and so yeah, and all of those things are just a lot of the things are symbols anyway, and so yeah, I see what you're talking about. You also have a YouTube channel that I didn't mention in the intro. That people can go and subscribe to, where you do a lot of your investigation videos, and you talk about a lot of this stuff of tarot and oracle cards and crystals and that type of stuff as well.
Yeah.
And you've done quite a few paranormal investigations. Like I said, you've been investigating for over 15 years. So how does the witchcraft play into the paranormal investigating and kind of change the way that you do things versus other people?
I feel like it's honestly not too terribly different, because I still use the electrical equipment. I love K2 meters. Spirit box is one of my favorite tools to use. It's more just about kind of combining the more spiritual and intuitive aspects. So I may have the spirit box running while I'm doing a tarot reading to connect to either the property, the location, or a specific spirit. So it's just really kind of about fusing those two things. Also, kind of really helping to tap into my intuition. So sometimes I'll do like trance stuff, or kind of like get into a meditative state to kind of just really tune in intuitively and see what's going on. But I feel like it doesn't, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm used to it, but I don't feel like it is that different than regular investigating.
Yeah, it's a little different than I've ever done. I've just never had anybody, on my team that kind of approaches it that way. I think it's a definitely interesting approach. And like we're talking about, connecting to the spirit world, kind of however you can.
Yeah, it's kind of thinking outside the box, like you said. And I think, too, when you are utilizing, like when I pull out the tarot cards, that's something a little different than these spirits have seen. A lot of us are investigating places that have been investigated by so many groups. Almost every single night there's a different group in there. And I feel like everybody's pulling out the same equipment. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because, again, I utilize those tools as well. So, everybody's kind of pulling out the same equipment and asking probably the same kind of questions. And, I mean, I feel like if I were a conscious spirit at these places, I'd be like, oh, my God, the K2 meter again? Like, come on. But then somebody pulls out some tarot cards, I'd be like, whoa, wait a minute. All right, let me sit down here and see, what are you doing? I feel like it kind of helps to bring, like, a new energy to investigations. Like I have found when some investigations have been going a little more slowly, and you do pull out something like the tarot cards, or you kind of start asking questions in a different way that are maybe it's more intuitive. And you mentioned like being an empath, kind of connecting to the spirits on more of like an empathic level. It really kind of helps to like stir up some energy, I think, because you're bringing new energy and new perspective to the investigation.
Yeah. And I like in the book how you put Ghost Hunting 101 chapter in there, because I think a lot of people emulate because they don't know any better, they emulate what they see on TV. And a lot of the TV stuff it's about ratings, and so they're going to be melodramatic and all this stuff, and not saying that the shows are out there to fool people, but some of the stuff they do is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, they are out there to entertain first and foremost, is what the shows are about.
Yeah, and so to have a Ghost Hunting 101 chapter, I think is great, because more people need to go back to that and kind of do their research and their homework on, okay, well, this is actually what goes on. And I do public events where we sell tickets and people come, and hunt with us. And the first thing that I tell people is, this is nothing like TV,
Yeah. A lot of just sitting there.
Yeah.
I crack up every investigation, like when we're all just like sitting there and we're like just staring at a piece of equipment in silence. Like it always I get like the church giggles.
Yeah.
And I just start laughing because I'm like, this is the weirdest hobby ever. Like, let's all just go sit in this dark abandoned building and just sit there and listen. But I mean, that's like such a huge part of it. Yeah.
And then you have also different tools for the paranormal, and you kind of, I like how you kind of lay it out there. I don't think many books do that now. I think most of them just put it out there expecting people to know how to investigate.
Well, yeah, that's why, I mean, I wanted this book to be both for if you are somebody who is an experienced investigator, but you're new to the more like spiritual witchcraft side of it, you'll still learn something from this book. Or on the flip side, maybe you are familiar with working with sigils and tarot cards, but you want to try ghost hunting, then you can learn something from this book as well.
Yeah, and I'm always, I mean, I've been investigating paranormal for 25 years, and I started out long before the TV shows where I kind of had to figure it out myself. And and so, but I also like learning from other people and seeing different methods, because it might be something I haven't seen before. And so, even that chapter for me is pretty cool, because everybody does stuff differently. And especially the way that you're thinking outside the box with paranormal investigating. And some of the stuff in your book, I'll definitely have to try investigations in the future.
Yes, let me know how it goes.
Yeah, and also you have a chapter on integrity and kindness, which I think a lot of people need to understand, because they see provoking on TV and all that stuff. And
I hate provoking. Yeah.
Yeah, I come in and explain to the spirits, we're here out of respect, and I would never take anybody in that's provoking or being an asshole, to the spirits to get a reaction.
Exactly. I mean, even if you are dealing with a spirit, because some people may be like, oh, well, this spirit is of somebody who was a convicted murderer and abused their children, and they don't deserve kindness and respect. Okay, like maybe they don't. But if you were going to approach a living human and you were wanting to, interview them and get information from them, do you think that you would get more information from them by going up to them and screaming in their face and telling them, they're trash and they're horrible? Or do you think you'd get better information from them and a better response if you went up to them and like showed them some respect? Maybe you don't think they deserve respect, and that's totally fine. But when you approach, I feel like, any being with a level of some kind of respect, you're gonna get more from that. Like, you attract more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's very true. And also, nothing good can come of you going in and kicking the hornet's nest. Like, that's just not going to work out well for you.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's either going to, like, go badly for you, or, I mean, at the very least, the spirit's just going to shut down and be like, well, screw you. I'm not going to talk to you then.
Yeah, you're just not going to get anything. You're set in the dark by yourself.
Yeah.
And, nothing's going to happen. So, getting into some of your investigations, you've been to Waverly Hills and lots of other places. Waverly Hills is a big one. Mansfield Reformatory. What are some of the experiences that you've had with the spirits and investigating?
Well, one thing that comes to mind, and it's actually utilizing something from my book, the protection oils that I have in there. I was recently at the Monroe House with my friends from ACG Paranormal, and there was a moment in the evening, we all had our gear set up in the front room, and we were kind of just changing out some batteries and stuff. And we all were feeling really weird. Like, we all at different times kind of were like, I'm feeling weird. I'm feeling off. And then I was like, I know I'm kind of feeling like I'm high or something. Like, this is weird. And then some of us were getting like laughing, like almost like we had laughing gas. And we just all felt really off. And I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like, yeah, we're laughing about this, but like, this doesn't feel right. And so I put the protection oil on the back of all of our necks. And then we just kind of went about, switching out our gear and stuff. And we kind of forgot about it. And within about 5, maybe 10 minutes, we noticed that we were feeling fine again. Like, we felt completely grounded and clear-headed. We still don't really know what was going on with that. I mean, I guess at least if there was a spirit messing with us, we were laughing and having a good time. But it was a little unnerving. It didn't feel right. It felt kind of creepy. But thankfully, yeah, the protection oil seemed to do the thing, and we felt grounded and clear-headed for the rest of the night, thankfully. But that was an interesting moment. That whole house is weird. Have you been to Monroe House?
I have not. I know about it, but I've never been there.
Yeah, we're going to go back this summer because it was a weird. We definitely don't think that there's anything demonic there, but there's definitely something, I think, inhuman. But that doesn't necessarily mean demonic, like maybe some sort of nature spirit or something. But yeah, we definitely want to go back because that is they call it the mysterious Monroe House for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were talking about protection oil and using that.
Mm-hmm.
What would you recommend for any investigator that's worried about getting an attachment or something happening to them? What would you recommend for them to use for protection?
Really just your intention and verbalizing your boundaries. Usually before an investigation, or at least when I get in my car to leave, I always say, you're not allowed to attach to me. You're not allowed to follow me. I don't care if you stay here, but you're not coming with me. And really just kind of set those boundaries. And I don't know if it literally spirits hear that and they're like, oh, okay, I won't follow you home then. I think sometimes that happens. I think more than anything, you're speaking that intention out. And so you're kind of setting an energetic boundary around you that these spirits literally can't connect to you. So yeah, first and foremost, just speaking your boundaries. And sometimes even throughout the night, you may need to like reiterate your boundaries, even leave and go outside if you need to and take a few deep breaths. But just remember that you set your boundaries. You can have control of that energy bubble around yourself. That is pretty much the easiest thing because you don't need any equipment or, any tools or anything. It's literally just your mind and your voice and your intention.
Yeah, I do that a lot at my own home and myself with sage. And I don't necessarily think it's the sage doing it. I think it's more my intention going around kind of clearing out the energy and just making sure that, I'm grounded and clear and clean. And
if you are wanting to carry something with you, one of my favorite things to have is a selenite wand. It's a crystal. Those are great because they clear off your aura. They kind of remove, I look at them as kind of like an eraser, and it's erasing anything that may be attached or stuck to your aura that you don't want there, as well as kind of strengthening and repairing your aura. Like I have a whole little thing in my book about that, but essentially just kind of like shining up and repairing your aura. So I usually always have some selenite on me for investigations as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm intrigued by crystals and I'm a rock hound anyway. I just like interesting rocks and crystals and that type of stuff. I don't know my feeling on those necessarily. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm telling you, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
I mean, I that's the thing too. Like I call myself a very grounded believer. Like I'm one of those. I believe pretty much anything is possible because really, like the more you experience things and the more you read and research and learn, the more you realize like we really don't know anything. So
right.
I'm very open to anything, but I'm also very, I think, logical and realize that, maybe there's absolutely nothing to this. Like maybe it's just a placebo effect. Like, I don't know if this crystal is actually like doing anything to my aura. Maybe it's just, again, my mind, my intention that is doing something, but I don't know. I think it works.
Yeah. And I typically have a crystal in my pocket when I go on investigations, and when I was younger, I brought something home.
You believe a little bit.
I do. I don't think it can hurt. What's it going to hurt?
Yeah.
It's just in my pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt anything.
Yeah, and I actually have like some symbols tattooed on my arm, for protection, and so nothing does ever attach to me, So
right.
I do believe in it somewhat, but like I said, my biggest thing is I don't know. I'm looking for the answers just as much as everybody else, and
exactly.
the more I think I found the answers, I think the more questions have come up in paranormal.
I agree. the more you learn, the more you experience, the more questions you have.
So on your YouTube channel, you have a haunted doll, and you get a few videos that I'm kind of intrigued by haunted objects.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the story behind the haunted doll, and is it really haunted?
I believe you're talking about Betty. Was it a black-haired doll?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, Betty. So that was a fun experiment. My friend Amanda and I, she's pretty effing spooky on Instagram. We were talking, and we were both curious about haunted dolls, and we're like, well, let's try an experiment, because I'm in Ohio, she's all the way in Washington State. And so we looked on eBay, and we went through a bunch of dolls, and we zeroed in on her, and we're like, all right, let's try this. So Amanda had her first, and she had her for a week, and we didn't share our experiences with each other. We decided ahead of time, we'll investigate and have her at our house for a week each. We won't share what happened until we get together on a Zoom call and like kind of share our experiences. So she had the doll, and then a week later I got the doll. I actually ended up having the doll for like 3 weeks because we did a giveaway with her, and so I had to hold on to her for the duration of the giveaway. I did not want her at my house anymore, so I was very happy to get rid of her. But it was we were very pleasantly surprised because, first of all, we didn't think that the doll would actually be haunted because it's an eBay doll. I feel like anybody just finds a creepy doll. They're like, haunted doll, purchase this. So we were surprised that she did seem to be haunted. We actually kind of thought that she was more of either like a spirit magnet or almost kind of like a portal rather than just your traditional haunted doll. We felt like there was like one primary spirit attached to it, but that it kind of acted more of like a paranormal magnet, and just weird stuff happened. We even did a distance Estes session. So, Amanda had the spirit box playing and the headphones on, and I was asking questions, and then we switched and did it that way. And we got really great responses with that as well. So the whole thing was just kind of this wild, pleasantly surprised experiment that we totally went into it like, nothing's really going to happen. And we were kind of blown away with the results that we got from that.
Yeah, it's kind of a crapshoot. You don't know. Somebody's just telling you that this doll is haunted, but actually to get evidence and kind of, be convinced that, there may be something to this after all.
Mm-hmm. And it was really interesting too, because we both had similar experiences, and we both had similar like feelings and intuitive impressions when we were first unpacking the doll and kind of like investigating with her and stuff. So that was really interesting as well, that there were similarities without having known each other's experiences.
Yeah. I'm going to be a part of an experiment here soon that's similar to that. A friend of mine, Steve Stockton, has actually ordered some real pieces of coal from the Titanic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's the story of the Titanic. Any of the objects people have things happen to them when they get these objects, and so they send them back.
Oh, wow.
And there's stories of that, like the Bell Witch Cave. People have taken rocks from there, and they get them sent back. There's other places around, too. The Petrified Forest out in Arizona is the same way. People have taken little pieces, and they always send them back because they always have bad luck or something afterwards. So, we're going to send this piece of coal and some other items from the Titanic and around to different people and just see what they get if things happen in their house when they have this stuff in there.
Oh, that's so awesome. I'm so jealous of that. I've been obsessed with the Titanic ever since I was a little kid. I'm like, I'm so jealous right now.
Well, he came up with this idea. I was actually watching a live stream he was on YouTube a couple months ago, and they were talking about the curse of the Titanic and how the Titanic museums are haunted. Out my way in Tennessee, in Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, there's actual one of the Titanic museums. I think there's 3 of them. And they have real objects from the Titanic in there. And the stories of a lot of the people. And it's the same as the one, I think, in Las Vegas is kind of similar. But at the same time that the live stream was going on, that they were talking about the curse of the Titanic, the iceberg wall at the one in Pigeon Forge actually broke off and fell on 5 people and injured them.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And so they were wondering, like, the whole question was, the chat lit up once figured this out, and they were like, was this because we're talking about this at this moment in time? Like, what kind of weird synchronicity is this?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. And so he decided, he's like, well, let's just do an experiment. If this curse is real, like, I'll order some real pieces of coal from the Titanic and we'll send it around and see if people get anything from it.
That's awesome. I love that. I'll have to stay updated on that and see what you guys get.
Yeah, it'll be pretty interesting to see if activity picks up in my house or anything like that, or if we get any kind of EVPs with it or anything like that. But yeah, I love doing experiments like that just to, because you never know. Like with the doll, you had no idea, and then you were like, I don't want this thing here.
Yeah, I didn't like her. I didn't like her at all. Because that was so weird too. And even that's what kind of freaked me out about it. Because I even, like, when I got her, I had her in a circle of salt, and like she was sitting near my like ancestor altar, so like my spirits were watching her even. And even then, it just I just was getting off feelings, and everybody in my house was like just extra tense. Yeah, it was weird. I didn't enjoy it, so I was glad.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it might make you think twice next time before you want to do an experiment like that again.
I think maybe she just. Well, I say she. I actually kind of feel like the spirit was a male, so it was attached to her, or the entity, because I don't even know if it was a human spirit. But I think maybe they were just mad because I instantly, like, pretty much as soon as I got her home, I put her in this circle of salt, almost like putting her in timeout. So I think maybe the spirit was kind of mad at me.
So what investigations do you have coming up here soon?
Well, so I don't know if you saw, I have a documentary coming out called Haunted Indiana State Sanatorium.
Oh, I didn't see that. Awesome.
Yes. Oh, that location is amazing. If you get the chance to go there, absolutely go there. I've investigated there 5 different nights now. Every single time I've been there, daytime, nighttime, whatever, that is the most active location I've ever been to, ever. So that documentary will be coming out, and I'm actually leaving in a couple days to go fly to a different state that I can't disclose right now to film our second documentary. So that is what I got going on next.
Oh, that's awesome. I love paranormal documentaries.
Yeah, you'll like this one then. And I like it too because the director that I'm working with, like he's letting me do kind of weird stuff. And it's actually with Nat and Elliot of ACG Paranormal that I mentioned earlier. They're in it with me as well. And Elliot is really great with coming up with new tech and everything. So yeah, we've got some really cool pieces of equipment that have not been seen. And we're also utilizing a lot of my techniques and stuff that are in my book. So I'm really excited for these documentaries. It's kind of like a new take on paranormal investigating. So
yeah, I'm excited to see them. Do you know where they'll be available when they come out?
I don't know. I do know that it's going to be released on multiple platforms. I think it was going to be released on a couple streaming platforms to start out with, and then throughout the year released on different ones. So I don't know. The best thing I can say is for people to follow my Instagram. That's where I'm the most active, CheriseWilliams.xo, and I will definitely be posting any updates as soon as I get them.
Awesome.
Because I haven't seen it yet either, and I even helped produce the darn thing, and I haven't seen it yet. So I am very excited to see it because we had a wild time when we were filming at Indiana State. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, and I saw that you signed another contract for another book with Beyond the Fray Publishing.
Yes. Yeah, that'll be out sometime in the winter of this year. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that as well because I get to combine my love of research and stories as well as going out and investigating some of these locations and stories that I'm going to be talking about. So I'm looking forward to that book.
Yeah. That'll be a fun book as well. Everybody can go pick your book up on Amazon Kindle, wherever fine books are sold. They can get more information about you on CheriseWilliams.com. And like you said, on Instagram, where you're most active. And see what you got going on. I appreciate you coming on today and chatting with me.
Thank you for having me. I had fun.
Yeah, it was a good conversation. Everybody, like I said, go out. You want to read this book, The Witch's Guide to Ghost Hunting. It's a new take, and it's a really cool take on traditional investigating ghost hunting. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all stay safe out there. Have a good day. Join us next time for a new episode of The Unseen Paranormal. Until then, head over to the Unseen Paranormal Lounge on Facebook for all the latest updates and discussions about the show. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, or at unseenparanormalpodcast.com. And please rate, review, share, and subscribe to help more people discover the show. The Unseen Paranormal Podcast is proud to be the ambassador for paranormal for Verbal.com. A big thank you to my friend Chris Lips for the awesome theme music. You can find more of his music on Apple, Amazon, or Spotify. And as always, thank you for listening.
You have come the back